So thank you so much for the support. I love getting comments from you all because they are just so motivating. And I've noticed that there are a lot of new nurses watching my videos. And when I say new nurses, I mean you're actually in nursing school. You haven't even taken your NCLEX yet. And that is fabulous that you are so far ahead of the game. So please continue to leave me messages. If you have any questions, I'd like to think of myself as your friendly nurse mentor. So I am always happy to help. I am never too busy. So leave a message here on YouTube, or you can hit me up on Instagram at Nurse Kaylana, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Hey everybody, and welcome to my channel. My name is Kaylana. If you are new, then welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you and welcome back. In this video, I wanted to give you some facts about NPs versus CRNA, and maybe it'll help guide you as to what path you want to choose. And then I'll also share why I chose this path, and then at the very end, then I'll give you a little update in where we are with my little journey on becoming a CRNA. During my research, I tried to look at only the websites that were credible. I didn't cite any of my sources, so if you have any questions or if I'm wrong, please comment below and let us all know. But basically, the facts that I'm going to give you are from either association websites or just basically websites that don't have any interest in persuading you either way. I stayed away from the school websites. So if any of that interests you, please keep watching. So first, I'll give you the facts. So for the nurse practitioners, there's 12 types, and that does include the certified registered nurse anesthetist. To keep this video short, I'm not going to list all of them, but if you Google types of nurse practitioners, then you'll see the different ones. The highest paid of the nurse practitioners, not including the CRNA, generally is the psych nurse, coming in at about $140,000, whereas a CRNA, the median income is $180,000. Now that is specific to, what area in the country you're practicing in, what setting, whether it's urban or rural. Usually the rural areas tend to pay more, and that's probably the same for nurse practitioners also. Then you can also make even more money if you are locums tenens. I did not look up the rates for nurse practitioners prior to this video, but I have seen rates as high as $150 an hour for a locum tenens CRNA, and I think that works out to about $300,000 a year. I told myself I wasn't going to do math on my videos without having verified the numbers anymore, but $150 an hour for sure, that's what it was. So the pathway to becoming a nurse practitioner, I did see programs where you can go from a 2-year to an FNP. There's different variations. I've seen MSN with FNP certificates. A lot of the programs are moving to a doctorate, so I'm not 100% sure if for a doctorate level FNP degree you have to have a BSN, but I know for a fact that there are two FNP type programs. Now for a CRNA, you have to have a bachelor's. So you can start off getting a 2-year degree, and it doesn't really matter where you get your 2-year degree as long as it's accredited and they meet all the requirements. But you can go from a 2-year RN to a BSN and then eventually move on to CRNA. Same thing for a nurse practitioner. I'm just saying that it's not required to first have your bachelor's before entering into a lot of the nurse practitioner programs. According to the AANP, which is the American Association of Nurse Practitioners, there are currently 325,000 nurse practitioners in the US. Now for CRNAs, I did see the numbers anywhere between 41,000 and 50,000, but the point is there's still fewer CRNAs. So a concern that I've heard of those considering the nurse practitioner route, even those who have graduated already and looking for a job, is that in a lot of areas there's oversaturation. So if you decide to go the NP route and you're not willing to move, or you are looking for a specific specialty, it might take a little bit of time for you to find a job as a nurse practitioner. I personally have known several NPs who have graduated but still work in their current unit, bedside nursing, PACU, whatever the case may be, for months before finding a job. And then when they do find a job, there's oftentimes issue over pay because a lot of students go into advanced practice thinking that they're going to make a substantial amount more than they do as a bedside nurse or whatever type of nurse that they are, and that's not necessarily the case. So if money is a motivation for you, then that is definitely something that you might want to look into. During the school year of 2019 to 2020, 36,000 new NPs graduated. And I'm pretty sure that number increases every year, but just consider 36,000 NPs come out every single year. There's currently 400 institutions offering nurse practitioner programs. I did not double check, but I believe that you can get your nurse practitioner degree completely online, probably with the exception of your clinicals, and some of them even allow you to find your own clinicals. And I have had friends who have ran into issues with that because it's not as easy as you might think. There's services out there that you have to pay, of course, to help you find preceptors or sites, providers who allow you to do your clinical hours, and that's just not something that I wanted to have to deal with. So my recommendation is that if you do choose a nurse practitioner program, choose a school that has a relationship with different providers in the area where it's automatic, where you don't have to do the footwork yourself. As far as CRNA schools, there is currently 124 accredited programs in the US. By comparison, you can see that there's about a quarter of the number of schools that there are for NPs, and to think that on average they put out maybe 20 students once a year. I've seen some of the NP programs they put out at least twice a year, so they're churning them out. You can imagine it might be easier to get into nurse practitioner school than it is into CRNA school. An interesting little tidbit that I found was that 8% of nurse practitioners are men, whereas 40% of CRNAs are men, but men make up about 10% of the 4 million nurses. I believe that's what I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So as far as patient load, the majority of full-time nurse practitioners see 3 or more patients per hour, whereas the CRNA only sees 1 at a time. Now they may see several in a day, but based on where they're practicing, if it's surgery, then they have that patient until the surgery is done. If you're in a pain clinic, then it's still 1-to-1. But consider nurse practitioners that work in the hospital. They round on the floors. Did I mention that the ratio for CRNA is 1-to-1? I like that. As far as schedules, I think it can go either way. However, I know personally, nurse practitioners that work in the hospital setting that work 7 days on and then they get 7 days off. So yes, while the 7 days off sounds amazing, can you imagine working 7 days on? I could barely do 3 in the ICU, let alone 7. So keep that in mind. That's probably one of the things that you would use to choose if a job is good for you. Since CRNAs tend to work on maybe surgical hours or outpatient clinic hours, with surgery, you could find 8, 10, 12. I think I've known some CRNAs to have kind of like maybe a 14 or 16 hour for maybe a couple of days, and then another day they would have shorter hours to balance out to be 40. I mean, it really depends on what group you're working with. I have known, I would love to do 12 still. And then with outpatient, that sounds like it's more like an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. So as far as practice autonomy or practicing independently, I'm going to include a map of the states that nurse practitioners can practice independently as of 2021, and the states where CRNAs can practice independently in 2021. If you require that for satisfaction and are willing to move, then do a little research as to whether or not any of the states that are independent at this time interest you. So can I be totally candid with you? I mean, we're all friends here. The reason why I chose the CRNA path is because it's hard to get into. I'm a glutton for punishment. I do love critical care. It was a challenge. I do believe becoming a CRNA is very prestigious. It's not easy to get into CRNA schools, which you may be learning or you might already know. So I like a challenge and I wanted to see if I could do it. I do love critical care. I love medicine. See, the money doesn't hurt, of course. You cannot become a CRNA because of the money. We know that. Let's get that straight. But it is very motivating. I personally do not want to experience some of the things that I've seen nurse practitioners experience, where they're, basically worked to death by the doctors that employ them. So yeah, it's one thing if you work independently, but they're also, that's your own business, so you're going to probably be doing even more work. I've heard that the nurse practitioners in practices tend to get the patients that are less favorable to the doctors. That might be the case for being a CRNA as well, but in Florida, in the hospitals that I've worked in, the more complicated patients go to the MDAs, and I'm okay with that right now. I haven't even started CRNA school, so I'm okay with not taking the sickest of the sick. I would say another reason why I chose CRNA is because, I kind of grew up in the OR. I graduated from nursing school and I spent a short time in inpatient rehabilitation, but then I went to the OR, I want to say 6 to 7 months after that, and I was there for 4 years. So it's just kind of my environment. It has shaped my nursing personality, and it's just my place. If this was helpful so far, please consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss a single video, and please share with a friend. So when I was in nursing school and I didn't even know what a CRNA was, I did consider a nurse practitioner, and I always thought that I was going to be an aesthetic nurse practitioner. And if you don't know what that is, then they deal in aesthetics, things that have to do with like laser, Botox, fillers, that kind of stuff. But then I started to think that that's not something that I wanted to do. Dealing with a person's vanity is a different beast, shall I say. And after working in the ICU with actually sick people who are literally on the brink of death, dying, that population of people is not for me. But it did take me moving around a little bit in nursing to figure that out for myself. There's this whole issue with new grads going straight into nurse practitioner school without having any experience at bedside. And my own personal, unimportant opinion is that at least a year or two of bedside experience, specifically critical care, would make you a much better nurse practitioner than without. Now, undoubtedly, there's nurse practitioners out there who went straight from, doing their BSN or whatever, straight into nurse practitioner school, and they're doing well, but they're kind of learning on the go. So depends on what you want to do. Some of the cons I've heard for CRNAs is that it's boring. I don't know what that is. I'm okay with boring at this point in my life. Boring is good. So if you're someone who constantly needs to be busy, doing something, overwhelmed, on the go, being a nurse practitioner might be for you. Now, being a CRNA is not necessarily boring. From what I've heard, I can only speak from what I've been told, what I've observed, because I'm not a CRNA yet. But things happen in the OR. And sometimes the CRNA is aware of it before anybody else is. If you've worked in the ICU, then you know how, you already know that you have a sick patient and they have the opportunity to go downhill real quick. So you're already on edge from that. And then when and if it does happen, then your adrenaline just kicks in. So boring is not how I would describe being a CRNA, but I'll take those moments because that means that you're doing your job right. Oh, job satisfaction. So while I was looking it up, it was kind of hard to find an actual website that was credible and unbiased as far as satisfaction. So if you do find one, please leave the link to the website in the comments below to help us all. They're very close, but CRNA's job satisfaction is a little bit higher. When I was looking at the price for schools, they seem to be about the same. So I saw programs for nurse practitioners and CRNAs that started anywhere from $30,000 to over $200,000. And even for a CRNA, I would not recommend going to a school that charged over $200,000 for the program. And as a nurse practitioner, you want to be very careful these days because there's a lot of nurse practitioners coming out making less than $100,000. So if you have tuition, these new loans that you're going to be paying for that are well over $100,000, you're not making $100,000 a year, it's going to take you a while to pay that off. So when you're choosing your path, I would also take into consideration what program you're looking to do that's going to offer you the best education while also being affordable for what you could realistically make coming out. So that's all I have for you in this video as far as a nurse practitioner versus a CRNA. I hope you found some of that information helpful. If so, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. And I have a new Instagram now. So I have a personal Instagram. You all are welcome to follow that one, but I don't include a lot of nursing topics on there. But I do have Nurse Kaylana, so please follow if you like nursing related topics and you want to follow me during my journey as a SRNA, student registered nurse anesthetist, starting in January. So my future plans is that I think I'm going to take one last travel assignment because the rates are starting to increase. There seems to be a surge. I think it'll help me, save a little bit before I start school, since I won't be able to work for 3 years. Sometime between now and probably January, I'm going to go down to Miami and take a tour of a few places, including some student housing. So I'd like to make a video of that. I am a vlog watcher on YouTube, so I would love to I'm definitely going to include vlogs. So if you're not a vlog type person, that's okay. I still plan to include helpful videos like this where we're kind of talking about certain topics and I just lay out what I found. But if you like vlog style videos, then please keep watching, because the video that I want to do for when I'm looking for a place down in Miami is going to be vlog style. But everything is going to be nursing related. So if that sounds good, make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that the notification bell is pressed so that you do not miss any videos. I'm not going to commit to a schedule right now of when I upload the videos because I don't want to let you all down. But please check back about once a week and you should have something new to watch. I don't know what it's going to be like when school starts. I'm actually quite anxious, but like anything, I'm going to get through it and I'm going to take you guys with me. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed my video today. I thank you so much for the support. Do my best to give you as much helpful information or guidance as I can. I'd like to refer to myself as your friendly nurse mentor. So hit me up here on YouTube, or you can contact me on Instagram. Again, it's Nurse Kaylana. I hope you enjoyed today's video, found some helpful information, and as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. But this time I want you to share with a friend. And I guess I'll see you in the next one.